In this podcast, I'm going to be talking about the great Googan Baits. Are they worth it? How do they package their bait? Does that make a difference? All that stuff. So let's get into it. So what I bought by just impulse, Taco Bell has that shtick. You get like 50 bucks. It's free shipping, whatever. So I was like, all right, let me add a few extra items to the cart that I need to go do. So I found the Googan Baits on their side. I was like, yeah, let's see if they have them. They have the Googan Baits. This is the drag and drop that I bought. I bought 2 packs of the drag and drop, and looked like the thing I'd use the most. So I was like, all right, got some, and they came in the nice hard packaging. So we're gonna talk about that. Now the real question is, are they worth it? What is the benefit to the hard packaging, the way they set it up? The baits themselves are more or less generic baits. They catch fish. I caught smallmouth on them. That's good. Wacky rig, eco rig, drop shot. That's how they're actually meant to be fished. Probably a drop shot bait, but that might actually be a bit big for drop shotting for me. I use like a 3-inch fluke for drop shotting. But that's the downside. Is all the fancy packaging for what it is, or for what the bait itself is. If you didn't have the fancy packaging, is like $6-7 a bag. That's pretty expensive. Not gonna lie. $6-7 a bag of drop shot worms. Bag of trick worms like what, $3, something like that. Bag of flukes like $3. The actual Zoom ones. A lot of the Zoom plastics are like $3 and they're good to go. So they're half. So a proper bag is half the price. You get a good amount. Now, however, hard casing the way they have it. They have this specialized hard casing on their soft plastics. I took it out here because I just wanted to pack it lighter on the way back. And you don't really need it here. I'm going to talk about it later. But hard casing, you snap it, and it keeps all of them straight in place. So I kind of like that. Not going to lie. That does have its benefits. And there's another advantage. And there's some pros and cons to it. So yeah. You're paying the extra few bucks for the hard casing, essentially what you're doing. Versus the normal bait itself is just an ordinary bait. Ordinary drop shot bait, essentially. I've heard similar reviews of people talking about like their other creature baits, but I've not bought their creature baits, so I'm not personally, nor have I fished with them, so I'm not personally gonna make a comment. But yeah, so the real question is that hard plastic worth it? The answer is yes and no. On a drop shot worm, no, because a drop shot worm in a bag on its own, like this, can stay relatively straight. Like I have them here. These are a couple ones I had left from my Canada trip. They're staying more or less straight in the bag on their own. They don't need any special help. Most soft plastics can do that. There are a few exceptions, and that's where I would actually get interested. One of those big exceptions are soft plastic swim baits. Googan Squad, if you make swim baits, I will buy them without question. Because what happens now is you go buy a lot of other swim bait companies do this. Like Big Hammer, for example, I like their swim baits. They're good. They're good swim baits. Not gonna lie. Grew up fishing those things. The problem with their swim baits is they're a stapled hard casing, meaning the second you open that casing, it is now useless. You have to now have a specialized clear plano box just for soft plastic swim baits, which is a bit of a burden versus a bag of plastics I can throw in a fanny pack or a little bag, run around with it, and it's not something to think about. Versus a 3600 size box, you actually have to think about where you're going to put that thing. You put it, I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but still, difference between needing a backpack and a little shoulder bag or traveling much lighter, or even throwing it in your pocket for that matter. But yeah, so that's the difference. And on a bag of plastics, the hard casing means you can actually keep your swim bait. The way they have it set up means theoretically you can take your soft swim baits and seal them together to where you don't actually have to need a proper hard plano box for it or hard tackle box, whatever brand you may have, to go do that. And that is what I would like it for. It keeps the swim bait straight, because otherwise, swim baits, when they're kinked, unlike a worm, it doesn't make that much of a difference. But on a swim bait, if you jack up that tail, it's basically a piece of trash. It might still swim, but not the same caliber. On a swim bait, it actually makes a difference. Flukes, I've heard yes and no. I don't think makes that much of a difference, but I don't use a lot of the bigger fancy flukes. Even then, you could bulge the flukes together. I've not had a problem doing that kind of thing. But yeah, so versus a tackle box, they kind of just stay straight. Senkos, you don't need to worry about it. They're planning on making Senkos are like the stick bait equivalent, not actual Senkos, but Googan sticks, whatever they're called now. If they make those, they do not need a hard casing. Honestly, they don't need a hard casing. Creature baits, for the most part, unless it's like a very delicate creature bait, like a lizard, I've seen lizards get kinked. That might be another example. If they want to make a lizard, that would make sense. Any others that I'm thinking of, but those are the two biggest examples that come to mind: swim baits and lizards. Now, Googan Squad, if anyone in it, if you are listening to this and you still have not made a swim bait, make these two sizes. And if you want to spit, and I'll tell you a specific color that'd be actually a fun one too. Make a 3.5 inch and a 5 inch. The reason for it, and don't make them like where they're solid. Don't make them where they have a cut slit for like weedless. The reason for it is in Southern California, 3.5 inch. If it's fat enough, is perfect size to throw on a little quarter ounce little ball head, little jig head, and you could fish it for in the harbor for spotties. That's a perfect size for the harbor and just general light tackle stuff. 5 inch, you cut the head off, you throw a half ounce on that, and that is golden calico fishing right there. Anyone could take a 5 inch swim bait, throw a half ounce head, anyone in the Pro Series out here in Southern California, and will catch a fish on it. 3.5 inch in the Gulf as well. You cut the head off, you throw the same quarter ounce on it. I can pitch that thing in docks all day long for specs without a question. Just a great, good finesse size. And I'm talking, if I still have them, no, I don't have them next to me right here. I used to have just a little quarter ounce, maybe it's like a one-aught hook is what it is. But yeah, get those sizes and the color. If you're ready for a fun color, make an Opal color. An Opal color would be like a black body with a couple of white dots on the back. The reason for that is in Southern California, we have this fish called the Opal perch, or Opal. It's this looks kind of like a disc-ish fish, and they're common in the harbors. They're common in the kelp beds, and no one. I don't think I've seen a lot of people, if anyone, make that color bait. They might make something similar, but I have not seen that color produced. And also, it'd be a great muddy water color too. If you get like a really bright white pearl for the dot, between the white bright pearl and the black, that's a perfect muddy water bait for any bass angler too. So yeah, make the Opal color if you're listening. Make the 3.5 inch or the 5 inch, and I will buy that. I will buy some packs of swim baits from you guys. All right, if you like that kind of stuff, like, comment, subscribe, and comments for fun. Have you bought Googan Baits? What are your thoughts? Are they a bit pricey like what I'm saying? Leave them in the comment section. Take care.